Welcome to the AI Riff, where we cut through the noise and break down the top AI stories of the week with real talk and real relevance. No hype, no fluff, just a vendor agnostic take on what's actually shaping your world today. Whether you're in tech, lending, or just trying to make sense of the headlines, we're here to separate the wheat from the chaff and the facts from fiction. Now let's get started with your hosts, Mario Di Benedetto, Rob Katz, Ruth Lee, and me, Kyle Myers. We hope you enjoy this episode of the AI Riff.
And we're back with episode 22.
Fantastic.
It's like we never left.
I know, just a month.
Who does a podcast once a
we
month?
were on? Yeah. Except the last time we were on, we called out that Ruth was gone, but we didn't call out that I was gone. I think wasn't that the last podcast we had? And then
Hold it, you were gone?
there. I wasn't even on it. It was just Mario and Mark and Rob, and I got left in the cold. I got no reference. I think people thought I was let go. You know,
Our producer, we can't let you go.
Well, yeah, I didn't think so, but evidently it was possible. So
technically, are you our producer or our director?
Yes, both. But what do we got today to talk about, Mario? What's going on?
Well, listen, there's a lot to talk about because we've been gone for a month. But we want to try to keep it as topical as possible. So where we're going to start is talking about AI slop, which is everywhere, but specifically talking about AI slop and how it's worked its way now into real estate. So Wired magazine had an article, and it was talking about how realtors are starting to use AI, and some are maybe not being as careful as they ought to, or maybe they're doing exactly what they want, and they're producing things that are just fictitious. They're producing pictures and things of houses that are not accurate and clearly not appraisal quality worthy type of things. And I think
what are you talking about? Like, what happens? Like, what is it like? Does it put a dog in the front yard and you're not supposed to have a dog?
Yeah.
Well, what they'll do is they'll take pictures and then they will merge them all together into and have it beautifully staged and, recreate. I mean, in the same way that I can, and I did this the other day, was just I was looking at colors for my downstairs bathroom. I know I've been talking about this bathroom for a while, and
finish that bathroom already.
I know, but it's just a bathroom. But I wanted to look at the different colors and see if it would match and so, you can do it that way, but I don't really care if I have two toilet handles. I mean, it's not relevant, right?
I was going to say 3 arms, but two toilet handles is a better example. That's much better because that's exactly what AI produces, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A separate set of stairs. The
stairways to nowhere. Those were pretty good too. Like, but actually, what's so funny is I have seen houses with stairways that go to a landing, and that's it, because someone has done a remodel, and the landing is the last spot it landed, and they stopped.
Even more reason why you have to be careful.
Well, it's one of those things where, in our universe, I mean, especially because real estate has moved so much onto the web. Right? People are in general, because they're not going out and visiting homes, they are looking for accuracy rather than they are looking for a Pinterest page. And so therein lies really, I think, the challenge, right? Because the last thing that you want, and I would imagine it would be awfully weird if your borrower showed up and they think that they're getting la-da, and instead they're getting, maybe not so la-di-da-di. Maybe not so great.
So, and I'm curious what you think, because, and I want this 2 different perspectives, because if you're somebody looking at houses and the listing agent does that to you, it's kind of like, whatever, I may never interact with the listing agent again, right? Yes, it's a bad experience, so maybe I cut them off. But as a loan officer, how do you look at a realtor who is either sloppy or is just taking some liberties. Like, do you say like, I'm not going to deal with them, or do you say no? Desperate times, I got to take what I can get, and you're just like, okay, that's
Well,
okay.
I think that if, I think that if it were labeled as such, right? I mean, I think it's completely fair if you say AI, AI staging or whatnot.
That would be
And,
great. Yeah.
I mean, so that people are aware, because I don't think people would be nearly as taken aback if they knew that, okay, the bones are there, but, we didn't change and add in crown molding. I didn't add in like brand new fixtures and features and like door pulls and things like that, because that's where it starts to feel deceptive. And I think that's really where a lot of people are getting really annoyed with AI, is over how flippin' deceptive it is. And they're starting to go, can I believe my own eyes? And when it seeps into our universe, what does that mean?
So, and I think it's worth recognizing, like we made fun, right? You said two, handles and three arms, and I made fun of it because a lot of the early stuff did that, right? It was just, it didn't actually know how to necessarily do things. It'd give you somebody 6 fingers or 3 legs or whatever. Like but the latest AI, like I said, I read a lot of stuff, and one of the newsletters at the very bottom always has which one's real, which one's fake, right? Which one's AI. And I will tell you, I never get it right. The AI generated imagery, whether it's Sora or whatever, the latest stuff, it is really good.
It's good.
Right? And so you can, the idea that you're staging it, you can make something that, is tired look a lot better. And, it just, the deception just seems very frustrating. Like if you're on the other end of it.
Well, and I think that, to your point, there's so much of that going on right now, and people are starting to wonder, can I believe what I see? And therefore, and unfortunately, when you people are back on their back foot, especially when they're in a buying posture, we don't need that right now anymore. We are seeing, basically we're not seeing buyers, and we're not seeing sellers aren't coming down and buyers aren't coming to the table. And so we're watching a lot of inventory sit, and everybody's wondering, when is this renewal going to happen? We've seen rates start to drift down. And the reality is that I think that there's a lot of people who are, there's a lot of distrust, and this only makes it worse.
So does it, in this particular case, right? And we're really focused on the real estate, domain here.
Right.
Does it make it any better that, honestly, if I were to look at half of the houses I've ever looked at, and I've looked at a lot of houses, we moved 3.5 years ago, like whatever, they do deceptive pictures as it is. They don't even need AI to deceive you with the pictures on these houses. So now they've got this tool that just like is like, wow, now they can really go to town and deceive you. Like, does it make it any better that they were already messing with us with the way they did pictures?
Well, think about it, how interesting it'll be when we start looking at some distressed assets, right? Because that's really, I can't tell you how many appraisals I saw back in 09 and 10. And, you would see the before, which is the appraisal, which looked like this beautiful house. And then it looked like one of those old saloon, those old West towns where they would like hold up the fronts.
The front boarding, and there's nothing behind it.
There's nothing behind it. And so, you have a lot of that where people buy properties unseen. You have property inspection waivers where appraisers aren't necessarily going to see the house. And PIWs are great if you assume that the house is there. But what happens if somebody decided that they were going to do a reno and didn't finish it? I mean, you could take a property that from 3 years ago, it looks great.
Yeah. And actually, I don't know if you can hear me. I dropped there for a moment.
I said, you're back.
But what if the next door neighbor happens to have a bunch of above ground oil tanks and a bunch of cars in the yard, and they didn't show up in the picture for the appraiser? Maybe used, they were, I I'm going to use some AI to make that land get real clean. Yeah, it looks like trees and an orchard with deer frolicking, but no, it's not what it is. So
But just
there
get
could
rid of,
be,
erase those power lines. We don't need to
yeah.
see them. We're going to pretend that they're not there. And
So
the thing about what I find interesting is once it's out there, it's forever, and people think it's real. Like like they think it's accurate.
Well, that is a crazy idea, right? Because we'll go back and look at old pictures from 20 years ago that we find of our current house, right? And you imagine the mental games people are going to be playing. Like, that's not the way that looked. No, it's the picture. It must be the way it looked. So let's turn this around. Is there anything positive about this? And obviously we were biased, right? I said AI slop. I went with a negative. Is there anything positive that AI is really bringing to, and we're going to stick to the kind of the visual part of this equation? Like, can we imagine that maybe it is good to get the coloring right when you can't get it, the picture, which maybe you could probably do anyway, right, without AI? Like, is there any upside, or is this just garbage?
I don't know. When I go on to and put my like face app on filter on whatever, I mean, I look like a whole different person, and is that really me? Sure, it's kind of me. Kyle, you were going to say something. I interrupted.
No, you were going this kind of the same direction I'm going, which is, well, maybe it was the same direction. I don't know. Not just with appraisal, but with real estate agents, I can see the upside being the speed to market. If you need to get in the market quickly, you don't have time to wait for a professional guy to, or stage the house electronically, or do these apps are really helping a lot of people get to market quickly. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you've got, just a pocket in the market, like right when the rates dropped, you see a lot of people come on, and, it might've been the difference between selling and not selling. So I can see a positive there.
What we mentioned while you were away for just a second was, if it was labeled, AI staged, the property is the property, but this was staged AI. I think that becomes a little bit more, useful, because I can already see appraisers just being lazy and picking those pictures right off of realtor.com, sticking them right into an appraisal and calling it good.
Yeah, but I think there's a little more nuance to it, and I think the public is aware. I think that, and that's leading to our other topic we were looking at, which was people are just getting tired of the AI images, and they know what's AI, they know what's real, what's not real, and I think most of the people in the market are savvy enough to go, that looks too perfect.
Mario was just saying that every time he tries to pick, he can't pick the right one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess people could have said that we just recently sold a house and we keep a pretty clean house and it looked perfect. I'm sure they were ultimately the buyers probably were like, wait a second, that wasn't AI. This is as perfect as it was, So maybe that's true. Maybe they would have picked the wrong one. I don't know.
I have a personal example. Go ahead.
I'm enamored by the concept of AI staging. Like, I think that's a brilliant idea, right? Let me put my color scheme into that house, right? So that it's not just you as the realtor doing it, but I get to do it too. Like, that's a brilliant use, right? Everybody wants to imagine their own stuff or redoing it or redesigning it because almost everybody wants to change a house when they buy it.
Yeah, but who has measurements on their own stuff to get it in? I mean, you got to go around and measure all your furniture.
Have you not seen the Homes.com commercial where the guy's walking around like this? He's got I
guess they do have that new laser thing. Yeah.
He measured the size of his couch and he's like walking through everything, trying to keep the measurement static so he can do it. And they show him, no, we have it measured for you.
Yeah.
I watch too much TV.
Well, I mean, and staging is profound, right? I know that. And this is a great example. And this was this was my mother when she was trying to sell the house in the pandemic because nobody could go in. And it was a big empty house. And so, well, she had to have it staged. And so they moved all that furniture in and took all those pictures and whatnot. Because they made it perfect. It was a fortune. It was mid four figures. It was a lot of money. And, that is for someone who is trying, not everybody has that available in their local community. She was in Austin.
So when we talk about people losing their jobs to AI, house stagers should be first on the list.
However, with the market being tight, before people are going to buy, they're going to come in and want to see. So I still think the staging companies, they have a little bit of skin still in the game.
I was trying to segue to the next subject.
Oh, you're right, Mario. That's what it is.
They will still have a job. I have nothing against house stagers. That's a talent that I definitely do not have, and it is super valuable when you can do it well. So
it's been
we have our experience with house staging. We stage our own house.
Hopefully,
we're great. Ahead.
Are y'all good like that?
Yeah. Hopefully you're halfway through your dog walk as you're listening, right? Because we're trying to do one dog walk length.
We have two dogs. You may walk. Hey, I have a friend who walks dogs separately because the two dogs don't get along. As they're walking, they get competitive. So they walk one dog and then they come back and then they walk the other dog.
Really? So I guess that's healthier for the human.
Appealing to the two dog walkers.
Wow. So the second topic we're going to hit on is about jobs. And I think you can flip a coin on any given day and say, what's the latest study say? Is AI wiping out every job on the planet, or is it having no impact? And the pendulum has spun to the side that says none. So Yale came out with a study, I think with Brookings Institute, that said since its inception in 2023, the effect of ChatGPT on jobs is nothing. It's a nothing burger. And it's not to say there aren't anecdotal things, right? It's not to say that people haven't lost their job.
The Yale Budget Lab study?
Yeah.
Well, and I think that I think that overall, when you start, when people all of a sudden started like ripping out their plumbing in their organization so that they could fire everybody and we're going to hire a bunch of agents, I think that was a little premature and silly. And I think the idea of thinking that nothing is going to change is a little silly. Exactly. Because I know already from just my productivity, I don't know about you guys, but I find that I love not having to spend all that time dorking around with a PowerPoint, dorking around with formatting on Word. If I want to find something on Excel, I can find VBA macros like that. Does that mean that I'm going to replace everybody that I work with? No. Does it mean that I have more time and I'm not working until 2:00 in the morning on deadlines? Sometimes, yeah. And I don't mind.
Yeah, the challenges in every business is where do you put it? And I think that challenge is finally coming into realization is everybody's making decisions, but it's not necessarily, it's making people more effective in what they do. And when people are trite, maybe they move on to another job. They don't rehire right away. They kind of see how the AI is helping. But honestly, I just we're in that, all the companies are right now in a let's wait and see. The next big push is right around the corner, and it's like it's been a really long curve of a corner, and we're waiting for that those rates to drop. We're waiting for business to just start plowing through the door again, and so they're not really letting people go. They're just prepping with AI to make the people that are here more effective and more efficient. Now, if someone's really bad at what they do, AI isn't even a factor with that. They're just, they got to replace the person, but they try to do it with AI, and the AI first try to find a better, faster, easier way. And I think that's where we're at. We're not necessarily losing jobs, but we're definitely not creating jobs.
Don't you feel like we're making better decisions because we have access to data in a way that we've never had it before?
Absolutely.
And so I feel like I can make better decisions. I'm not asking the machine to make the decisions. I just need to have access to things because it doesn't even know what questions I want to ask yet.
But do you trust the data that much?
Well, I mean, when I'm looking at my database, I mean, sure, when I'm talking about not Gen AI, I'm talking about more predictive analytics. When you're looking at sentiment and things internally where you're using like a one limited, universe of data rather than the universe of things, the internet of things.
So I have to give an anecdotal piece of data because I trust AI, right? And I feel like I only ask it things where I know how to question it. Like I can tell whether the answer is at least in the ballpark.
Right.
And I was doing something that was basic. We were talking about New York City because of the marathon yesterday. And my wife bragged about New York City being the biggest city in the world. And I said, I don't think so. So I asked ChatGPT, what's the biggest top 5 cities? And it gave me the top 5 cities. New York is not one of them. And it's like, okay, well, give me the top 10. When it gave me the top 10, the top 5 were different.
Oh.
It gave me a new number 4 that wasn't in the top 5 previously. And it's one of those things where you're conditioned to say, well, I think it knows basic facts. Like it's pretty good about that. And somehow I got this basic fact wrong. And I was like, that's not really making me feel really warm and fuzzy. But anyway, another stat I picked up, and I can't give you the time frame. This is a really loose fact. Hey, nobody quote this fact other than me because it's garbage. It was an approximation that basically said, so this whole thing about Amazon's laying off 16,000 people. Oh no, Amazon's laying off 16,000 people. And I think they have like 2.5 million employees or something like that. So it's like, okay, 16,000 is not a big number. But the basic fact was that over some really long, significant period of time right now, Amazon's number of employees has effectively been static. And they've grown revenue and profit. And that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about this idea that you can do more with the same people. You're not lopping people off to get where you want to go. Your people are really good. They know your business. They know what they're doing, right? You're giving them the tools, so all of a sudden they can do more, and now your business is able to do more to grow without having to add more headcount.
It's like a staff aug for short-term issues, but this is a long-term issue, and you've got staff augmentation without having to hire more staff. You just find those ways you could take that little bit more off their plate. And if AI can do it, I think that's where everyone's trying to find those gains, because it's the trust is 1, 2, not the data, but actually getting at the data. We got to have a human in the loop anyway. So why not make it an educated human that's doing the job already, and you just make them refine their process?
It's just like going, like that data-driven decision-making is what I always kind of just run back to, because in our industry, in the mortgage business, we're terrible at it. We've never been able to touch all of the areas from origination to secondary to servicing and be able to see it all. I mean, there's a few companies who have big Power BI or Click or Tableau teams, and they have ginormous things. But the challenge being that, great. So if I want anything, I have to have a sprint.
Yeah.
Yippee skippy. And this means that I don't have to do that. And if it comes out wrong, I get to challenge it. I get to ask for sources. There are ways that I've never, as an executive in this industry, ever been able to touch things and make decisions that were more close to reality than close to just observational bias or intuition or my feeling of it. And, I get really, it's hard when you're working in business and you're just having to feel it. And, it feels like things are going well.
So can we pause for a second and just talk about the fact that AI is ultimately somewhat different than the most accessible AI? Like Gen AI, where you can chat with something, can do a lot of things. And it's really great for the versatility of it. But there is another level, and you can use Gen AI on data, but there's another level to Gen AI that is stuff like what Palantir does, right, at scale with people's data. It's like there's these companies who are doing it in larger institutions. That is not an accessible piece of AI for most people, right? Most people, first of all, one, getting to your data is still a problem for a lot of people, right? You don't necessarily have access to your historical loan data, your transactions, your history, all that stuff that might be interesting to AI. But two, it's not like you can just drop AI on something and start getting all the answers. It takes a little bit of work. And then you've even mentioned it, Ruth. It takes an understanding of what you're looking at to make sure that you don't get answers that really aren't right, right? So it still seems like in our industry, there's a lot of obstacles to really getting the benefit of AI, right? Of kind of that data level AI, I'll say.
Well,
are we just expecting too much too quickly? I mean,
are we expecting too much too quickly?
Was the original? I think the original scorecard on them had us, within 5 years, these comments about, and that was 2 years ago. It's like it seems like we're 2 years in to the biggest cycle, the best cycle, and nothing's really changed much. And so maybe my son was right. He kept saying AI is just hallucinating all the time, sends garbage info, and you're never going to replace people with AI. Maybe right now he's right, but I don't think long term he is. I think long term we are going to be able to take the tasks that people were doing and just shift them over to a different role, because we still need that intelligence somewhere else in the business. You can't let your intellectual property leave. And I don't mean IP like, smart tech gurus. I mean IP like process and understanding the knowledge, especially in mortgage. It is so hard to find good mortgage people who are experienced and understand mortgage, they let alone spell it. And it's we don't want to lose those people. We want to keep them in the organization and have them grow into different positions. And maybe that's where AI is going to give us that lift.
I'll ask you guys this. If I were to give you a pool of loans that had been all chosen and underwritten and approved by AI versus ones that had been augmented by having one of those crusty old underwriters who they remember they've known more than one cycle and they've seen a lot of these things going, they'll find fraud where AI might not, and AI might find fraud where they might not. I think that it's a good human computer collaboration long term. And, as people are like, we're just going to throw out everyone with experience. Well, I think that's foolish, but I think it's also foolish to assume, and this is to your point, Kyle, that, this wonderful productivity tool that all of us are like, oh, it's not because, we didn't know how to use technology before. It's because we see the deep potential and meaningful potential that it offers.
Yep.
But I don't feel threatened. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So we're going to do what we did with AI this week, because I didn't really do anything. I'm on location. I won't say where. I'm in a secret
location.
Yeah. But I didn't really do much with AI other than ask Gemini a bunch of questions about stuff, mostly about the Dodgers' chances of winning, and I think it was a low probability at about 8:00 at night 2 nights ago, but that ended well for them.
Yeah, it's 100% right now.
Yeah, Polymarket has them at 100% now.
I will do mine, and I won't. So I was on vacation. I was in foreign countries. I am crummy and don't really speak any other languages. So I was in Italy, Spain, France, and Portugal. None of those languages, much less can read a menu. And I will tell you, I am really starting to see the value of Google Glasses, or whatever, the glasses. I had my phone up for everything doing translates, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It does it. Like you can translate menus. I had a Uber driver speaking in and translating it, and, reading it, having it play back. Like it's all fantastic, but the phone is the wrong form factor. Right. And that was the lesson, right? Is like, it's really just clumsy now to constantly be doing this with your phone and, hit and record and everything else. And I will say, I think I'm jealous of Android users who can get some of those features a little bit better than you can get on iPhones right now.
Yay. Android users. Hey, and by the way, Mario, you don't have to leave the country. Just go to Miami and pick up an Uber and you'll be faced with the phone chat. Some guy who's,
they do that, really?
Hey, he's a great guy, nice guy, but he doesn't speak English, Well, and I'm like, okay. And it's kind of hard to communicate sometimes, especially passing a phone back and forth. But Google Glasses would be great. But don't you need two pair, one for them and one for me? You got to keep handing them a pair of glasses.
You know what it was? We went to a lot of places that have a lot of historical sites, and you have maybe audio tours, and you have the little plaques you can read or whatever else. But you always have more questions, right? And I wanted that interactive, I wanted my own tour guide. I wanted to be able to look at something and say, tell me about that. And what about this? And I wanted to have it be more of an interactive experience, because that's to me where it's going, instead of just walking around and staring at something and saying, yeah, that's a building.
Well, what would be really cool is if you modify the Google Glasses, like if you're going to the Smithsonian, and you could they loan you some Google Glasses for $10
right.
or whatever, and you get the tour wherever you're at. You can hear the normal sounds, but you also get the Google Glasses so you can ask questions and it responds back. That would be awesome.
So, and then one other thing that I always find myself doing, we were in Rome. There's a lot of ruins and, things that are barely left standing in Rome. I want to see what it looked like in its heyday. I want to kind of be immersed in that experience. And I feel like Google Glasses would do that, right? You could be make it like I'm standing in the middle of the forum right now. And they'd be like, it's a lot better than
kind of like the realtor having the house look better. There you go. We went full circle.
Wow. That was
impressive. On these glasses is worth at least 100,000 more.
Yeah. Hand it to you when you walk in the house.
We haven't cut the lawn in 6 years. Here, it looks
great.
great.
Google Glasses, and the lawn's nice and trimmed.
Wow. Ruth, I don't know how you're going to top that with what you did with AI. That's
I do every week. I just spend so much time on it that it's really hard to differentiate my world from when I didn't use it to when I do, because quite often, even when I'm trying to answer a client question and just making sure, does this sound like I'm being sharp and snarky? Can you make it I need to tell them that they're wrong, but can we not make it sound so wrong? Things like that, where it gives me, and it's always this brainstorming partner. But to your point, Mario, I find myself in the car. For example, I went to go pick up my husband at the airport the other day, and I was like, that to me is fun. I think it's the difference in our age group in that, we didn't always have a phone in our hand. So, if we didn't know how to boil water, we had to go and figure out how to boil water. And a lot of these younger generations, they don't even look to their phone for that. They're like, how do I boil water? And me, I'm like, how do you boil water in Antarctica? And I want to be able to say that out loud in my car and just have it give me information all the time.
I hope you have a Tesla, so it's driving.
Nerd alert.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to end it for doday. So, unless you have does anyone have any other parting comments other than our normal?
No, just put the dog back in the house. Take the leash off. You're done.
Okay, you're done. The dog's
wherever
walked.
You are.
In fact, the dog is overly walked. We overwalked the dog today.
A little bit, as usual.
As usual. Well, I'm Kyle Myers.
I'm Ruth Lee.
And I'm still Mario De Benedetto.
And this has been the AI Riff.
Wires hum like whispers in the deep dark night. Shadows dancing strange under neon light. Digits spinning fast like a gambler's hand. The clock chimes change, it's the new command. Oh, the future calls with a voice so clear, a melody of progress in every ear. No turning back, the wheels in motion, a tide of cold like the endless ocean. Binary profits riding fading streams. Data flows like rivers, fueling all our dreams. Simple or savvy, it's all the same path. Under skies of innovation, we redraw the map. Oh, the future calls with a voice so clear, a melody of progress in every ear. No turning back, the wheels in motion, a tide of cold like the endless ocean. Set the rhythm to the beat of change we sing. Every click and hum a key that rings. A revolution, quiet, but it's vast. Building empires where echoes of futures cast. Oh, the future calls with a voice so clear, a melody of progress in every ear. No turning back, the wheels in motion, a tide of cold like the endless ocean.